Hello, welcome to tonight's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. As always, I am your host, Paul, and tonight we have a special guest and somebody that I did not think we would ever be able to get, just strictly by accident, I guess. From Manos Hands of Fate, Jackey Neyman.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. Please introduce yourself, and I got like a billion questions.
Well, good. Okay. Yeah, I'm Jackey Neyman Jones, and I played the role of Debbie, the little girl, in Manos Hands of Fate. And my dad was the master, and my mom made the costume. She made the master's robe and the wives' dresses and my little Debbie dress. And our dog, the Doberman in the film, was our family dog. And my dad did all the artwork. He painted the master and dog painting and the hand sculptures. In fact, that's why it was named Manos. The Hands of Fate was, he already had all this sculpture, so he lent that to the film. But yeah, so basically to me, it was kind of like a family movie. There was a lot of our things from our home. And hold on. Wow. I got to stop forgetting I have this. I was on a podcast just like a couple weeks ago, and I happened to look over and go, wait a minute. This was a piece of luggage that Torgo carried in the original film, and I've been carrying it around.
Do you guys still have the original Master and Doberman painting?
No, Hal Lauren, who created the film and played the role of my father, Mike, he kept the painting and he kept the robe after filming, but I've recreated both, and I have them on my Etsy shop. And I've done a couple of versions of the master and dog painting. I did one because I'm a professional artist. I've made my living as an artist all my life. And I did a custom painting for a guy a few years ago. The master was Frank Zappa. And so it was Frank Zappa and his poodle, and I have that on my Etsy shop. Also, I sell prints.
Yeah, I seen that you sent me the link. Once the holidays are over, the next couple of days are over, I think I need to get me the master and the Doberman painting so I can put it above right here, because it is legitimately one of them ones where I did not discover it. I think I discovered it like most people my age. I discovered it because of Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
And then Riff Trax and Riff Track Live, and I got it somewhere. I don't know if it's right behind me or not. The collection that was, I think, Rhino put out, and it's the Manos with the MST3K, and then it's just the Manos DVD. And it's funny because I was like, all right, well, I don't know if I've ever just watched this without any commentary. And then I started looking into the history of it and finding out that it was literally like a hand wind camera. There was no dialogue. The dialogue was all dubbed in later.
Yeah, it was silent.
Yeah.
Filmo 70, I think, from the Vietnam or Korean War era. It was a tough camera. It was wind up, but it only shot like 32 seconds before you have to rewind it. So no sound and wind up. So yeah, there was a few limitations to the filming.
And is it true that the only two people that profited from the movie was you got a bicycle and the dog got a bag of food?
Yeah. My dog Shanka got a 50-pound bag of dog food, and I got my first, it was my first bike. It was red and it had training wheels.
It, like I said, this is one of the ones that has we. I was going to go as the master one year for Halloween, but it was literally like I did not have the time to make the robe, and I was like, this has got to be great because no one would get it, but then the people who would get it would love it. So
Yeah, the people that get it really get it.
yeah.
Well, that's another thing I make is I make custom master's robes. Because my mom made the original and she taught me how to sew. So they're really nice. And I made one once for a guy that was 6'8", and I've made one for a woman who was 4'11", and now I'm making dog coats. But I could make it for your kitty too. I just got another order. I just sent. Let's see. I think she lives in Wisconsin. It was a yellow lab that got the last coat, and then this next dog looks like I don't know, maybe a pit bull lab mix.
Cool.
But I say, get a coat for your little master because,
my little masters, the cats run around here somewhere. The dog's outside right now.
Well, I'm gonna make one for my kitty, but she's only like 7.5 months, so I gotta wait for her to grow a little more. But yeah, she was named with the Mystery Science Theater fan base help. Her name is Misty.
That's cool. Now, how do you feel about do you really like the popularity that it got from Mystery Science Theater, or do you like, is it one of the ones where it's like I like it, but it's making fun of something I did when I was a kid, or you just enjoy it and have fun with it?
Well, I was almost 7 years old that summer, and to me it was the best summer of my life, hanging out with my dad and getting to stay up late and going with him out, being the only kid on the set, all those young women kind of treating me like a little doll, and it was fun. I had a great time. And anyway, I just say I was just a kid. I wasn't responsible. I just did what I was told, So no, I have a lot of fun with it. Because after it showed at the premiere for the first time, the theater canceled the rest of the 2-week run. So, and nobody really talked about it after that because these were all local community theater people. It was a pretty tight-knit group of people, and the entertainment writers of the time were very kind and really didn't say much about it. Everybody just kind of let it disappear. But for me, I looked for it when I got a little older. I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. And God, university libraries, anywhere I could think of, and I just couldn't find it. And then 27 years went by, and my dad called me one Sunday and said, "You'll never believe what I just saw on television." And it was crazy. I was just so happy to find it. I was completely satisfied, and that's how it's been this whole trip. It's given me so many wonderful opportunities. I've met the greatest people. I've seen amazing talent that is people like Rachel Jackson with Manos, the Hands of Felt, her puppet theater up in Seattle. And there's been 2 stage productions. There's comic books, trading cards, just the inspiration and talent that has come from it is pretty remarkable to me. And I love every bit of it. And my dad did too. He really enjoyed it.
The fact that there's a puppet version, Manos Hands of Felt, that is brilliant. That
Isn't
is
it?
yes, I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen a couple clips of it, but that's amazing. That's that is
It's really funny.
oh man. Did your dad make Torgo staff, the hand staff?
Yeah, he did. And I made ours for Manos Returns. I did everything that my family did. For the original, I did for Manos Returns. And creating the painting and the robe and the wives' dresses and the Torgo staff, those were all things that I did. Uh, and I made it just the way my dad made the original because he was quite the artist. He worked in a lot of different mediums, oil paint and acrylics and plaster finishes. He did clay and sculpture, metal. He had a welding setup in his studio. So, and I was just such an observant kid. I watched everything, and I'm an artist myself, as I said, and so anything that is a possible challenge, I'm up for, and I'm very proud. I of my Torgo staff. I made it just the way my dad did. I had a friend who had a whole welding setup, and we got some cold rolled steel, and I cut them out of the steel with the torch, just like my dad.
Now, I've seen some of your paintings, really good. You says you're now an art teacher on top of being an artist.
Yeah, I do. I've been doing, the paint and sip kind of parties at bars and restaurants or places. Been doing that for 5 or 6 years, but then COVID hit, and anyway, now I'm looking at doing more of them online. I've done some private party ones online, but I'd like to expand it more, and it's just a matter of organization for me at this point. But I put it out there to the Mystery Science Theater community about doing some MST related paintings and online. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, like I said, I grew up and I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. Still do, still watch it to this day. When I found out that I was going to be able to interview you, I legitimately dug through my DVDs, found my DVD, rewatched it, and then I rewatched the Riff Trax version on TV. I was lucky enough; I did get to go see one of the Riff Trax live versions.
Oh,
and
cool.
I wasn't in the audience, but I it was at the theater. Our theater actually was showing it, so I was able to get in there to see it. And it's funny. A lot of these movies that Mystery Science Theater has pulled out has become, they gave them new life, and
Yeah.
I think it's great that this one that was essentially was relatively lost from what I understand. Like you said, it was
27 years. I
that
think the way I understood it since then is that it showed a few West Texas type drive-ins. It was, maybe the last film of the night, the one to get people to leave on a horror night, of a couple films at the drive-in theater. But, by then people were either asleep or making out or gone.
it's the whole bartender thing. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Here's
Right.
the fate. And what's great is that my kids, my two boys are now 24 and 22,
Uh-huh.
and they love Manos Hands of Fate because they've watched it since they were little, and they have gone with me to seen it there. We've watched it at the home. My son Joe has rewatched it relatively recently online, and it's one of the ones that it's great because, like I said, I watched it when I was probably, I don't know, like 17 or 18 the first time I saw it when it was on. And then now I get to watch it again, and then I get to watch it with my kids. And now now my sons, when I told them who I was getting ready to interview, they're like, "That's so cool."
Oh.
I was like, yeah. I was like, remember the little girl from Manos? And they're like, yeah, I get to interview her. And they're like, she's an adult now. And I'm like, yeah, I know she's an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. I was at a convention, Crypticon Seattle, as a guest a few years ago, and you know, they have a banner over the guest head with the name and everything, and mine has a picture of me as the mini bride, you know, at 6 years old, and my name. And this young woman came up, probably, you know, in her mid-20s, and she's standing back for a while, but she was looking up there, and then she's looking at me, and then she looks up there. She did that several times, and finally I caught her eye. I go, yep, that's me. You know, like 50 something years later. I think this year is the 55th anniversary.
Whew. That's a pretty good run. I mean, that it was able to come back after that long a time and keep going.
Yeah, in fact, have you seen the restoration?
That I have not seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, that raised, gosh, at least like $47,000 on Kickstarter. And Ben Solovey had found it like just by accident. He happened to know what he had in his hand, but he found the original work print that went through the camera in 1960, 66, 60, God. See, it's getting so long ago. I don't even want to remember how long ago it is. But 1966. But he raised some money and he restored it frame by frame. So now you can watch it without it being ripped, but it's so clean, and it's a mind trip. It's like another experience because it's a beautiful print of a really inept dome. And anyway, the Mads, you know, Frank and Trace, and Frank's the one who originally found it in the first place and brought it to Mystery Science Theater and said, you know, this, I think we should riff this movie. And so Frank was just, so the Mads are back. They have an online show now. And on December 14th, they're riffing Manos Hands of Fate, and I'm the special guest, and they're riffing the restoration. So it's going to be very interesting.
That is definitely something I'm going to have to find and watch.
It's plastered everywhere. I've heard recently through the people that are promoting it that everybody seems to think this is going to be the best attended show of the whole year.
I can definitely see that. That's with those guys coming back, with the Mads now doing their own thing. That's fun.
And doing Manos.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Trace who said he'd never riff that one again.
Well, now we got now you got your sequel. You got Manos Returns that you did with Tanya. How did you just decide one day that you wanted to bring Manos back and go from there?
You know, I don't really remember exact. It was just kind of came together. It just kind of came together. I knew Joe Sherlock. He's a local. He makes films, and I'd been in some of his films, and I knew him through other people locally. And he's just a really fun guy, and I like what he does, and he gets the job done. And then Rachel, I had heard of Rachel Jackson, I had heard of Manos, the Hands of Felt, and I went up to Seattle to see her show, and that's how we got to know each other. And I met Tanya, I think through Joe, and I don't know, it just kind of came up. We all thought about the idea, and my dad was still living, and we thought, well, if we're going to do anything and include him, then we better do it soon. And then also by chance, about the same time, I found Diane Marie, who had played my mother in the original, who played Maggie. And what's funny too is that in reality, she's only like 12 years older than me, so it's kind of creepy.
That happens a lot in movies. The movie parent is only like 10 or 11, 12 years older than I think I just watched the movie the other day, and the mom was legitimately only like 5 years older than the girl that was supposed to be playing her daughter.
Yeah, what's that movie with Sally Fields and Tom Hanks?
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump. Sally Fields plays his mother, but they were previously in, they were lovers. And I can't remember what movie that was, but I mean, they age her a lot and all,
Yeah.
but that's interesting. But yeah, it happens. The magic of movie making. That's what Hal Warren thought he was doing. He thought, oh, how hard can it be to make a movie?
Was it legitimately a bet? Do you know that it was? That's
what I understand. I've never found that to not be true. I think I actually heard that from Bernie Rosenblum, or he confirmed it, and he was one of the crew guys. So when I wrote my book and I did more research, I was able to find a couple other people to interview for the book. I talked to some of Hal's family, and I found Bernie Rosenblum. He was still living. And he and Bob Guidry was the cameraman, and they were best friends. So they pulled a lot of pranks on set because that's just the kind of guys they were. But yeah, Bernie confirmed that. It was a bet supposedly with Sterling Siliphant, who wrote In the Heat of the Night. And Hal had lunch with him because he was a bit actor and he was looking for opportunities. And he just said to Sterling Siliphant, something like, anybody can make a movie. I could make a movie. And he'd already apparently had some ideas.
Now, how did your dad get into the movie? Did he just try out, or was it like he knew him, or just?
Yeah, they knew each other. In fact, I just found the article, reread it yesterday, but my dad was, and Hal Warren and John Reynolds, who played Torgo, pretty much all the men they were all part of the local community theater. And my dad had been in the theater for several years by then, and he always got the lead roles. So in May of 1966, because it was filmed just a couple months later, like in July of 66, and so the play Henry IV was at the theater, and pretty much all of them were in that play. Excuse me. My dad was playing the role of the king, and Hal Warren was in the play, and John Reynolds. And so Hal kind of looked around and he saw everything he needed for his movie.
Oh. Gotta get a drink. Sorry, I gotta do the same thing. All right. Now, when you look back at the movie, and you look back at it fondly, do you look at the people, you know, come up to you and are like, have to be like, yes, I love this. This is, you know, like the fans that like really gotta love this, that are just really passionate about it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the fans that are into Manos, they really do. They really love it. One of my favorite stories is when I got to meet Cassandra Peterson, who is Elvira,
Yeah.
and she did Manos on her show. And we were both guests at the same convention, and her table was across the room, so I really wanted to meet her. And I waited till there was a break, and I went over there, and she had this huge line of people waiting to get her autograph. I mean, she's very popular.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of scoped it out, and I ditched around the end of the table where she was, and I just started talking to her real fast, telling her who I was and that my dad was the master, and she stopped and she looked at me, and she just kind of went, and then she got this look of recognition. It was so funny because then she goes, "Stop the line." So she made the autograph seekers wait, and we got some nice pictures together. And she had some good questions too. I mean, she knew the film. Definitely, she knew the film.
And another question I've always wanted to ask is, the rumor that Torga was supposed to be a satyr. Do you know if that was true?
Well, it's questionable. I mean, I think that would have been Hal's ultimate dream, but special effects weren't in the budget, and nobody got paid for anything. My dad and my mother were responsible for most all of the costumes, except for people that were wearing their own clothes. And yeah, so John Reynolds was basically wearing my dad's welding coveralls and his desert scavenging hat. And since my dad was 6'2" and John Reynolds was like 5'7" or 5'8", then there's a lot of room in there. So the idea was probably to make him like a satyr, but
Because I remember, like, the girl plays your mom looks down kind of like, and then they don't do anything with that after that. He just has the big knees, and that was like
right. Yeah.
It's funny because I look at that movie and you can tell somebody really wanted to like do something big, and then kind
Yeah,
of
big
realized,
dreams.
yeah, they had huge dreams, and then midway through they realized, I can't do this. With
Yeah, and I don't know how much he realized what he couldn't do. I mean, Hal knew it wasn't going to be a good film, but he hoped he could pull something off that would bring attention to the Southwest. I think he mostly wanted to be the catalyst, the guy who brought the film industry to the Southwest. He had much bigger dreams than just making this film.
yeah,
I mean, at the premiere, he had so many connections. He sold insurance and he sold fertilizer, like to ranchers
yeah,
and such. And he had big dreams. So he knew the local car dealer, and he got the guy to loan him the lights, that scan the sky. And he found a red carpet somewhere at so he had the red carpet at the theater, and he had these lights scanning the skies. And my mom and I, it felt like we spent the whole day in the beauty parlor getting our hair professionally done. My mother made these beautiful dresses, and the wives were wearing like opera gloves, and Hal rented one limousine, and he had all the actors and crew park around the block and wait in the alley behind the theater. And then the limo would come around and pick up a few people and deposit us in front of the theater with the lights and the red carpet. Oh, and then he hired, I don't know what he paid him, probably not much, but we were right on the border of Juarez, Mexico, you know, like literally right on the border. Downtown El Paso, you just can walk over the bridge. And so we hired the little street kids that spoke no English at all. And he gave them little pads of paper with a pencil, you know, and they were the autograph seekers. They were instructed. So yeah, I have pictures. I have a couple pictures of these little kids, you know, in their shorts. They were the kids that shine shoes on the street, you know, little entrepreneurs.
Yeah. That's funny because you answered a question before I even got to ask it, because I had heard the rumor about the limos, and that they had parked them outside, and then he'd come pick up a few people. Made it look like there was a constant train of limos dropping all of you guys off.
It's just one limo.
And it was just one.
Yeah. I mean, I was 7 by then. I turned 7. And even I knew it was ridiculous. I remember us all waiting in this dark alley, all dressed up, and I remember getting out of the car and thinking, doesn't anybody but me notice it's the same car and driver? I mean,
how was school when you went back to school in the fall after being in a movie in the summer?
I was such a shy kid, and yeah, that year my mother was a teacher, so in 1st and 2nd grade I went to school on the military base, Fort Bliss, because my mom was a teacher there. But nobody knew. I mean, it wasn't something. It was such a different part of my life and our life. And then the neighborhood we lived in, we were the only white family, so we were odd, you know, to most people. My dad being, I don't know, my family was just odd. It was the 60s, so people were exploring new things, and my parents were pretty liberal. My mother was very independent, liberal woman, and my dad was an artist and actor. And so, yeah, I don't know. I spent most of my childhood trying not to be noticed.
Now, okay, before I forget, how did you feel about the Hotel Torgo movie that came out a couple years ago?
Oh, that's the documentary. It's yeah, you know,
it's fun. It's something that I Manos is, like I said, it's so much fun. I can't help but laugh at it every time I watch it. To this day, I will still, there's certain scenes that I get to, and I've seen the movie, I don't know, 20 times at least. And there's still moments where you're just like, the fact that they had your dad just laying out there for the longest time, just laying on the stone, and you know, it's like he's just preserved in the desert.
Yeah.
But
well, there was a times when Bernie and Bob would get frustrated. I mean, you know, they the crew, they kind of mess with Hal a little bit, and a couple of those things. Well, one of them for sure I heard, because Bernie told me himself. But there's when the master is inside the living room and he's got his arms out, if you look at the below him, to his left, you'll see a beer bottle. And so they left a beer bottle there just to test Hal's powers of observation. But then in another scene outside where he's holding up Torgo's hand as Torgo runs off into the desert, at the base of one of the columns, you'll see the can of lighter fluid they used to light that hand on fire.
Now, is it true that they only had like what I think this one woman doing all the voices and two men doing the voices of the men on the?
I think I'm not sure exactly who went to Dallas to the studio to do the dubbing, but it was only the men. It was my dad and it was Hal, and I can't recall if John Reynolds had gone along on that trip, but it was two or three. It's like probably three men and one woman. Yeah, it was Hal's sister-in-law, and she already lived there. So nobody told the little kid they were dubbing her voice. That was pretty traumatizing.
Yeah, I heard it that the first time you heard it, like I said, I'm reading and from the documentaries and stuff like that, you did not like the voice. It was not good at all for you.
Yeah, it was shocking. I had no idea. I mean, nobody told me. I mean, why would they? They didn't tell me it was going to be dubbed in the first place, much less like that. You know, during the filming, I remember I was a shy kid, and I remember kind of saying real quiet, "Was that okay? Should I do it again?" Or, you know, something like that. I mean, I felt like I could have done better, but they're just, let's move on. We'll fix it in the lab.
It didn't seem like there was a lot of takes. There was 1, 2
No.
takes maybe.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, and like I said, Ben Soliday found the work print, so everything was on that work print. You know, the tape where things were cut and
Spliced
put
together,
and some of the outtakes, but and on the restoration that he put together, he interviewed my dad and me, and he's put some of the outtakes on there. So there's some, it's fun.
Now, it just seems like a bunch of people. One guy was probably really taking it seriously, and everybody else was just having fun.
Well, I don't think it was so much fun after a while. I mean, it didn't take that long to film it, but I think people, once they caught on, you know, to what they got involved in, they, yeah, you just kind of hope for the best.
Yeah.
After that, and anybody who's done film or theater knows you don't want to be the one to say, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this.
That's probably why everybody stayed, even though they weren't getting paid. Is like no one wanted to be the first guy that goes, no, I'm out, I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Like I said, it's so much. It's reading the stories about everything that happened, how it just even came to be. Like I said, finding out that it was essentially just a bet that an insurance salesman decided that he wanted to make a movie and prove that he could make a movie and prove that he couldn't make a movie by making the movie.
Yeah.
But hearing the stories of the people who worked with, like you, that, they thought it was like a one-off, it was, whatever, but then he wanted to make it so much bigger and tried to make it bigger to make you guys, and then it seemed like you guys end up having fun later and like just knowing full well that it wasn't going to be this big movie? Like you said, even as a kid, you were like, yeah, this isn't any what?
Yeah, but nobody talked about it. But the whole Manos thing, it gave my dad and I opportunities to do things together, and he loved hearing about it. He enjoyed it a lot, and uh, like I said earlier, just the talent that I've seen that has been inspired by this crazy film, the opportunities I've had and the people I've met, and it's pretty great. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's amazing. The fact that I can bond with it with my kids, and I'm hoping that down the road, maybe, I show it every once in a while. I'll just turn it on because I have a comic book shop, and I will turn it on
Oh,
the TVs, and I have friends that will sit there and they come in to just visit or to buy stuff. And next thing you know, they're 20-30 minutes in of just sitting there watching on and we're just sitting there laughing at it and having a good time. And it's it's great because, like I said, we bond over it. It's
hmm.
a bonding experience because you've made it through Monos. And it's funny because I always joke around. I'm like, we're gonna watch Hands of Fate,
Right. Yeah.
or the beginning, and with that long driving shot. I always joke.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, I understand that was where the opening credits were supposed to go, but it was just edited so quickly, and think yeah, Hal had big plans, and I'm just sorry he didn't make it to see this happen the way it did. I think he would have had a good time. I mean, Hal Warren, for a time, he was a stand-up comedian. He thought of himself as a comedian, and I've got photographs of him in costumes from different plays where he played those types of parts. So I think he would have really enjoyed this.
What's great is I always thought that your dad, because he played it straight. He played the master, not trying to poke fun at it or nothing. I always thought he would have made a great like villain in another movie because he was, like you said, he was tall, he was like commanding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wished that he could have been kind of, I know it's bad, but if he had removed from Manos and done something, I could have definitely seen him as the villain role in like a um the Corman style, like the Edgar Allan Poe stuff that Corman did. I could
Uh-huh.
have definitely seen him as the bad guy in something like that. And you said that he had a theatrical background and worked in theater. I was like, well, that explains that. Is that
Yeah, that training, that particular style of theatrical training of the times too, the 60s.
yeah.
And but yeah, he always played the commanding parts. He played King Arthur in Camelot, and he played R.P. McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Um, he always played the bigger parts, those commanding roles, I'd say.
Yeah, because he's one of them guys that with Monos, he's one that took lemons and made lemonade out of it in that movie. And it's like I said, it's with you could he just commanded when he was on for me. I thought he was great in the role. I mean, it was one of the ones where everybody else kind of, I don't want to, I'm not poking fun at anybody else on the set or nothing like that. That, when everybody else is just kind of hamming it up a little bit, and he just steps up and's like, I am,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
So I do love it. And I'm glad that you did the sequel. Um, it's and the fact that your dad was able to be the master in the sequel is just amazing to me, and it's so much fun. I kind of, I know it's bad. I'm fanning out a little bit because I had questions and I kind of blew that whole thing out the.
Oh,
It's like I said, it's something that me and my kids have bonded over, and we both love. We all love, and you bring in more, and you're out there. You talk about the restoration that's working on. You did a book. It's amazing that this little movie that really was, like I said, as a bet, whatever, and then it was lost, and now it's come back and become this cult item that now everybody loves, is amazing.
yeah.
It's like I said, it's something really cool. um it's real fun, and I like I said, I can't wait. I'm gonna have to order my master and dog poster for my wall down here in my office area here. And it's I love Manos, and I'm not one of them people. I don't do it as I'm no shame for it. I will tell people I love that movie. Watch it. I watched Titanic once. I've watched Manos 20 times. So and it's a movie I hate to say this, I think I watch it like twice a year now. Just because
Tradition.
yeah, when I want to have um just something lighthearted, that especially with the mystery science version of it, or the Riff Track. It's one of the ones, if I'm having a bad day, boom, I throw that in, and I'm happy when it's over. and
I've heard that. I've heard that.
yeah, it cheers me up. So what else are you working on? Are you working on anything else? Are you, outside of the art, you did the sequel, you do the paintings, you seem to be doing a lot. You have time for
Yeah.
anything else?
Oh, yeah, I know. I get a lot of acknowledgement for that because I get frustrated with myself. But the world has decided that I need to learn some lessons right now. So, I mean, I was in a car accident like on October 4th.
Whew.
And I'm okay, but I totaled my beautiful car, and I broke some bones, and so I'm healing from that. I'm getting a lot better. But laying around, being forced to lay around and just go inward for a while is probably something that I really needed to do. I have this beautiful new studio space. So it was been really frustrating because I have this beautiful space, and I started creating all this art, and then this happened. And but on the other hand, with my Etsy shop, I've been watching it grow, and I've been thinking for a long time about another book. And I actually now have 2 books in mind to write. And it's just funny how the universe conspires to help you when you're on your path, I guess.
Yeah.
But my daughter-in-law reminded me that I had thought of a book several years ago, and I'm calling it For the Love of Manos. And it's stories from people about their love story with Manos. And I've heard a lot of stories. I know people have stories like you're just telling about your kids,
Yeah.
watching your kids. And there's just all kinds of stories and things that people have said. It'd be fun to put something like that together. And then ironically, like 2 days after she said that, somebody posted there's an article called "The Best and Worst MST3K Movies to F2." And Manos, of course, is on the list. I'm like, wow, that's a trip. So there's that book, and then another book just to kind of expand on things, and all these projects, all these things, the stage production of Manos, well, 2 stage productions, and then the puppets, and there's just so many things that have happened since then. And I make the master's robes, and I just sent off number 28. When I first started making them, I made this crazy commitment. I said, well, they need to be signed and numbered. I want them to be something limited, a limited edition, but I don't want to limit it so much that I'm having a fun time, and now what, I can't make them anymore. So I said I'd make 100 of them. And I got to like number 5. I go, oh, you're crazy. This is insane. They are a lot of work. But I get so much joy from people sending me the pictures of them in their master's robe. And one of the ones I just sold, the guy's wearing it for his college graduation in the spring. That's like his big thing, people just, it's trippy.
That'd be funny. I would I have a couple friends that are professional wrestlers, and if I got one made, I would definitely have one of them wear it to the ring so they could do.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's been part of a burlesque show. Portland Burlesque. Yeah. She was a master, and she revealed,
If they really did it right, they could have done the master and had all the brides. They could have had a big burlesque show of all of them.
It can still be done. I mean, you just put it out there in the universe. Who knows? I'm happy to see all these projects. And I get to be part of a lot of them. Like the Mad show in December, I get to be a special guest. And that's really exciting. And the stage production of Manos a few years ago, they found out I lived close by, and it was a comedy production. I mean, the Debbie was a doll, and the Doberman was cardboard and felt on little wheels that was rolled across the stage, and it was hilarious. It was really good. But when they had planned to have somebody dub a woman dub Debbie's voice, the voice of the puppet that they had on stage, the doll, and then they found out that I lived close by, so they had me come, and I got to stay in Portland for a couple of weeks for the run of the show. And I got justice. I got to play my own voice as a grown-up woman from the light booth, from the sound booth.
Have you ever done any commentary tracks for the release? Because you did the restoration, and is that going to be released on like Blu-ray or anything like that? You'd be able to.
The restoration there's a lot of extras on that. There's interviews with my dad and me and Diane Marie, who played my mom. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've just done a lot of different things, like you said. Sometimes I think I'm losing my memory or something, which probably I'm getting older. So I'm just so glad I wrote my book when I did, when I had access to people, when the memories were had so well preserved. And I have to say, my book is 5 stars on Amazon. So it's a pretty damn good book for something about a really bad movie.
Oh, I gotta get it now. There's a couple things I gotta order. I gotta order the painting, and I gotta order the book. So when you look back at your life, you go, okay, I'm Debbie. That is definitely me as a child. That is stand proud of it and enjoy every minute of it.
I do. I just feel so fortunate. This crazy thing is giving me so much joy and fun and opportunities. And recently I've filmed in several other films and that are coming out. One called Under Three Moons, and the other one is A Haunting in Ravenswood. And I've seen just the people that I worked with were really great, really professional, and it's exciting to see these films moving forward. It's just small roles, but I'm so honored to be invited. And then we filmed the pilot episode of what was called the Debbie Chronicles, but it's changed now to the Manos Chronicles. And we're hoping it'll be a series, and I star in that. And I'm actually heading back down to California, in a week.
Whew.
Wow. To do some pickup scenes and some extra things. But we're looking for a distributor, and then I just got a connection the other day, a possibility. It feels like everything is just going just the way it's supposed to, and the recent challenges and difficulties are just teaching me to just go with the flow, just go with it.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. I mean, wow, I never could have predicted any of this.
The little girl in the desert never saw the woman in the future that's going and being in movies, and a mom, a teacher, a artist, a writer. You're doing it all, and that is awesome. That is it's great to see. I do appreciate it. I won't be taking up too much more of your time here. I like I said, this is Manos is just something I love. It's and I just appreciate you doing this interview. Even if you gave me 5 minutes of your time would have been awesome, but you've given me an hour, and that's amazing. And I want to thank you so much. Like I said, I will put links to your Etsy store and stuff like that at the end of the episode. I was going to ask you if you had anything you needed to plug coming up. You already got that.
I think I'm caught up.
Yeah. And be on the lookout for the Manos Chronicles. Go find Manos Returns is on Amazon Prime, I believe, right now.
Yeah, I think it is right now. And the Restoration, I believe, also is. And let's see, what else? Oh, the Mads Are Back. You got to see that. That's December 14th, and it's online. So if you look up Frank and Trace or the Mads Are Back, they're really promoting that. I'm just kind of stunned at the outpouring of love and support, and I'm pretty excited. This show alone could really kind of move things forward. I'm working with an agent now for not just for podcast interviews, but I'm working with somebody else for getting into more conventions and events. So, and I'm inspired to get this book going, to get these books going, because that's a lot of fun too. You know, I did a book tour. I was doing some comic book stores and things like that. So
Yeah,
looking for opportunities.
I was just getting ready to ask you if you had any comics conventions that you were going to be at, and if you wanted to plug any of those. But you just said that you're talking with a management to get that taken care of. Do you have
Yeah,
any?
so far, the only one that I have lined up right now is DeadCon in Fort Wayne, Indiana, next October.
Next October? I will try to meet you there. I live.
Well, let's get some. We'll get some more lined up. I'm
Yeah.
gonna really try to get out there. And
Yeah, because Fort Wayne's almost exactly 2 hours from my house.
oh, that's not bad.
So it's not horrible. There's also the Day of the Dead and the horror hounds and stuff, and
Right.
those are a little over an hour away to Cincinnati, and then like about an hour and a half away going to Columbus. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then there's one in Indianapolis, which is almost 2 hours. So there's
Yeah. And those are all perfect for me. Well, my computer just told me the battery is dying and
yeah.
the charger's in the other room. So
Oh, like I said, I
I don't
appreciate
want to
this.
get cut off.
Oh, thank you. Thank you again. I'm thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it. Um, like I said, I'm sorry I kind of fanned out a little bit, and I apologize because it's like I said, it's one of the ones I love. My kids love it, and it's kind of cool. It's really cool to be able to talk to you and ask you a bunch of questions that you've probably been asked a million times. Uh, so I do appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I will say good night, and hope to talk to you again.
Yeah, well.
Okay, take care.
Uh-huh. Good night.
Night. Big thanks to Jackey and her stories from Manos Hands of Fate. Big Manos nerd myself, if you didn't notice from the interviews. But we hope to talk to her again somewhere down the road, maybe when her next book comes out. I will post information to her, all of her stuff, her Etsy store, her, IMDb and all that fun stuff. But as always, group therapy is brought to you by RU Game, the best comic book collectible and all-around geek shop in Pickle, Ohio, located at 124 North Sunset Drive, Pickle, Ohio, 45356. You can also see me every Saturday on Saturday Morning Serials, bringing you the best of the 70s, 80s, and 90s cartoons, PSAs, commercials, all that fun stuff, and little tidbits of information. So as always, I am Paul, and you guys have been great, and I will see you next time on Group Therapy TV podcast. Have a good day. Later.